How was that? That's people meowing on.
Welcome to Cats on Guard. It's the podcast with pilots sharing secrets from behind the cockpit door. With over 40 years combined experience, we've got stories from the sky, on the road, in hotels, restaurants, theme parks, ballparks, beaches, and more. I'm MC Howe. I have over 25 years in aviation. I've been a pilot, a flight instructor, I was even a stewardess.
And I'm Captain Richard. I've been flying for a little under 20 years, and you can't say stewardess.
Oh, I can say it. I lived it.
It's flight attendant.
It's Cats on Guard.
That's right. If you've ever wondered what really goes on with the flight crew, the cabin crew, among passengers, we're going to tell you.
Or maybe you're here because you're curious about a career in aviation. You think, I could do that, but what's it really like? If that's something you're thinking about, we've got answers. We live the day-to-day, the glamour, the glitz.
The 4 a.m. wake up.
Yeah, we're the Cats on Guard.
We're not cats.
Well, then why is it called Cats on Guard?
Be careful out there.
Oh, good timing. You got your cough in just as the countdown went on. Congratulations. Well done.
Got to do that before we start up.
Well, that's the fun part about this episode because, oh my God, what a downer. I knew, hey folks, this is Cats on Guard. We are opening the flight deck door, which is the podcast where we tell you stuff that happens in the real world of the flight deck. Today, we're talking about the fake world of the flight deck, the movie world, and going back to the movies for the first time in a while. And I knew this was going to be a good episode when you texted me that you were watching it and you said the first 15 minutes were okay. And then, oh my God. And then when I texted you just now and I said, let's do this. And you sent me a vomit emoji. I thought
That's
it.
Yep.
We're on the same page now. So today's movie, 7500. It's an Amazon Prime original that came out in the year 2019. I believe it was a German production. All the credits were in German. It was directed by Patrick Vollrath. I don't know what kind of name that is, but all the other crew members seem to be not your typical English American name. So I'm going to go ahead and say German.
But one
least.
big American headliner, at least.
Yeah. Our star of the movie is Joseph Gordon-Levitt. You may remember him from Third Rock from the Sun as the little kid on that show. He also played somebody in a Batman movie and a bunch of other movies. He's the star of this show today, and he plays Tobias Ellis, the first officer. Tobias, very typical American first name, right? Like, who came up with that one?
What is it? What was that other movie he was in where everybody was in a dream all the time?
Inception? Was that it?
Yes. Can we just talk about that movie instead? I really don't want to do this episode.
The world is folding in on itself.
Inception was more believable than this movie.
Well, I'm afraid not because we didn't watch that one. We're talking. Hey, let's. I'm going to say something good about this movie right now. All right, are you ready for it? The movie was only 90 minutes long. So with any luck,
let me say something.
Yeah.
So what my wife taught me about something called a compliment sandwich. Like when you're giving feedback, it's like office jargon, right? You've heard about this?
Huh?
So
Yes,
like
I
you start
do.
with something good, then you get into the shit you really want to talk about, and then you go
Huh?
back to another compliment, right?
Yeah.
So I think we're out of order here, but I think we've covered a negative and we've covered a positive, and I'll give you one other positive I've got. We'll call that the compliment sandwich before we relate to this. Yeah. The only other positive I saw is that it was an Airbus cockpit that stayed an Airbus cockpit throughout the entire movie.
Yeah, that's true. Very good. In fact,
and for the Boeing pilots at home, this movie could not have happened in a Boeing cockpit, at least in a 737.
Well, I don't know about that, but did you know they filmed the movie in an actual airplane? It wasn't a set. It wasn't a simulator. Yeah, they actually bought an airplane, an Airbus 320, to produce this movie. So props to that.
Very cool.
So I want to go through the list a little bit more of some of the cast members. And really the only one that I'm going to talk about, other than our hero Tobias, played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, is the guy who played the captain on the airplane. And I believe the captain's name was Michael. And I
Okay.
know that because Tobias at one point he kept saying, Michael, are you okay, Michael? Are you still with me, Michael? Michael. Which
Ugh.
to me is like, I can't remember my co-pilot's name half the time. I always have to look at the release to see who's on the bottom of
Is
the
that why
release.
that's why you leave that that sheet in front of you. It's not because
Yeah.
you need flight information. Oh, you're a jerk.
So
Hey, you
Michael,
over there. You.
listen, Captain Michael is played by a gentleman named Carlo Kitzlinger. And here's a fun fact in real life, or maybe not a fun fact. When you hear it, you may be pissed off like I was. Carlo Kitzlinger, who plays Captain Michael, is in real life an airline captain, an Airbus captain. Oh, his head just fell back. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So you knew how bad this was.
Well, you'd think, you'd hope. So
You take the money, right? Here, they give me a bunch of money to play pretend. I'll do whatever the script says, I guess.
you know
Fine.
what? I guess so. At some point you'd say, hey, would this might go a little differently in real life. But the only other cast member I'm going to mention, I'll mention two. Omid Mimar played Vedat, who was the young hijacker whose name I didn't even know. And I wrote on my notes, I kept calling him Wimpy Guy or Wimpy because he seemed to be like not really going along with the bad guy's plans all the way. I didn't know his name was Vedat until I looked it up on IMDb. And then Aylin Tezel played the flight attendant, Gokchi. It's G-O with the little double dots over them. What's that called? An umlaut? Like Motley Crue? Gokchi?
No.
Was her name?
Clue.
All right. So
I have no clue.
those are the four cast members I'm mentioning. The rest of you that starred in this movie, I am saving your reputation by not bringing you into it. So shall we get into it? What do you say? Now, like all the movies we've replayed, I've got tons of notes. I don't know if you took notes while you were watching, but I kept having to pause and write things down, rewind and say, did I really just see that? So it was frustrating to me to watch this movie as bad as it was. I'm going to call it the worst movie ever made at this point. There may have been others, and maybe we'll review others later. But for now, and at this point in my life, worst movie ever, and made worse by the fact that I kept having to pause it. Just made the watching experience even longer. But we'll start. Shall we start?
Well, the first bit was really good. I was into it. I'm like, that's correct. That's real. Wow, real cockpit. Wow, real settings, real debriefing, real, like everything was real until they took off. And then I was like, oh.
Yeah. But before we get into that,
what stood out? You still fly that airplane, right?
Mm-hmm, I do.
So it probably looked normal to you, but I'm like an airplane or two removed from that now. And so hearing all those things come back at me was like, oh, I remember that. Oh, I remember that. So it was like affirming for me. I was like, this is an accurate
you're right.
movie. And
You're
then it
absolutely
wasn't.
right. Well, we'll get into it. We'll get into it as it rolls out. So we start in a terminal, an airport terminal. We see it looked like security cam footage. There's a timestamp, and you see people walking through. It looks like the check-in area where you get your tickets and you check your suitcases. And honestly, it didn't look like it was a very busy terminal. It had a timestamp on it of 1723. So for those of you in civilian life, we use military time, or what we would know in America as military time. In the airlines, we call it universal. Is it universal time coordinate? We call it UTC, but universal time coordinate doesn't make sense. Is it universal coordinated time? I don't even know. At any rate, it's based off of, what do we call, Greenwich Mean Time, which is the prime meridian.
I know, where the security footage may be local because it was a night flight and it was like 1730 or 1723 local would be 523 local if it was local.
However, if you're in Germany, you are probably an hour or maybe even 2 hours ahead of England, which is where UTC time originates. So if it was UTC time at 1723, I don't know what time of year it was. So it's possible it was a little bit later, which should explain the night flying.
To nighttime, yeah.
Yeah, so it's night. Anyway, It's night.
Makes sense. It checks.
And we see people walking through the terminal, and we see them seem to be following one particular individual, this young kid who I came to know as Wimpy, who's walking through, and he goes through the metal detectors, and then we see him going into the restrooms. And I made a note of the timestamp on this one. He goes into the restrooms at 1801, comes out at 1825.
That's a long potty break.
Yeah. Well, that's your option. Do you want to go there in a I wouldn't say comfortable, but more comfortable public John than the airplane restroom, if those are your choices. Anyway,
you make a good point.
While he's in there, another man, a balding man, goes in. And I noticed that the bald man goes in and he has no bags with him. But when he comes out, he's got a backpack. Where did this backpack come from?
Good catch.
And I thought, well, yeah. And I thought to myself, did Wimpy leave the backpack? But I had to go back. This is another instance where I rewound. And no, Wimpy did not carry the backpack in. So I don't know where this backpack came from. I guess it was planted there by someone else. So
I think it could have been brought in empty in like a pocket or something, because I've put an empty bag inside of a bag so that I can make it into 2 bags later.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Because Wimpy was wearing, it looked like a shopping bag with some straps. Like he was wearing a shopping bag like a backpack, but he still had that on when he came out. And the other guy had an actual, like a school backpack. Yeah. From there, we go to the gate area. We see a bunch of people sitting around, and that's it. There's no dialogue through the movie at this point. It's just, here's the airport, and we go to a blank screen, and 7,500 comes up. So that's the title card, and the movie has now begun. Next thing, we go to the flight deck, and we see Tobias, our first officer, sitting there, or he enters, I guess. He enters, he's got his jacket on, and he's got his suitcase, and he goes to sit and make a nest up. And the next thing you see, he looks back. He looks back in the cabin, and the flight attendants are back there, and he makes goo-goo eyes at one of the flight attendants. And that was a very awkward moment. We come to find out later that they're dating or living together or married. I don't even know. It's somewhat unclear. But when the captain comes in, and, well, we'll get there. Let's see here. The FO. Okay, this got me, because this happened to me once in a simulator. So Tobias comes in. It's a dark airplane, no power on the airplane. He sits down. The very first thing he does is he presses the power button for ground power, and he activates power on the airplane. I did that once in a simulator. I got my head chewed off for it. How dare you do that? You don't touch any buttons without opening up the logbook. What if there's an MEL problem? Blah, 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 blah. So ever since that moment, I'm like, no, you don't go putting power on the airplane without opening the logbook. But Tobias did. And then Captain comes in. Captain Michael comes in, does sit down. He does take out the logbook. And within 1 second of opening that logbook, he declares, aircraft is technically okay for flight. There's just one tire that needs to change tonight. So, first of all, he was able to determine all of that in 1 second. Maybe there was movie time.
It's a movie.
I don't know. It's a movie.
Yeah.
Have you been in an airplane
the fact that they
has
did it, like, give them some credit. Give them some
all
credit.
right, credit. Have you been in an airplane that requires a tire change and it's scheduled, but we know this tire is bad, but we're going to fly on it anyway? Have you seen that? Or why not just change the tire right now? Is it one of those, so many cycles, so many landings, we're good, and then we got like one left, and so we're going to do it?
I don't know how many airplane movies I've noticed where they even look at the logbook, so I'm happy that the logbook came out.
All right, good. Good for you. Good for them.
I'm going to be the
I guess.
optimist here.
Good. Somebody needs to be. So yeah, at this point, nobody's gone outside. Nobody's even looked at the tire. And I said to myself, who did the walk around? I don't even see this part. And that's because it didn't happen. It comes later. And here's another movie. Maybe this is a European thing. I don't know, because a minute later, the captain goes outside. He says, I'll be back. He puts on his reflective vest and he goes out to do the walk around.
Accurate.
Captain doing the walk around is accurate?
Okay. Got me. You got me.
Yeah.
Night in the rain. Yeah, you got me.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know what else I noticed?
Touche.
Oh, I'm nitpicky. So yeah, you asked me things I noticed in the Airbus. Okay, they put the power on and immediately all screens come to life, ready to go. When I put the power on in my airplane, the computer does what's called a bit test. And you get little red bars and all kinds of funky stuff going on every screen. And that takes like a minute before it looks normal. Not on this airplane. Push a button, ready to go. So took me out a little bit.
All right.
And you know what else? Both pilots were wearing long sleeves. Did you see that?
Could be a Europe thing.
I know. We get bullied for it here in America. I do it. I get bullied. I know. Nobody says anything.
Yeah,
I know
you're
they're
the long
talking.
sleever. You're the long
I know they're
sleever, so you should be
I
okay
am.
with this.
You know, as we get older, our skin gets thinner. I get cold. I'm going to be comfortable. They make fun of me. I don't care. I'm the captain. You can't talk to me. Captain comes back. Captain Michael finishes his walk around, and the flight attendant brings a drink to Tobias, and Captain Michael notices a moment. He notices that they have little something special going on and some kind of look between the two of them. And he says, he says something. I don't remember what he says. He says, "You two seem very comfortable together." And, and, and Tobias, "Yes, we're trying to keep it very professional at work." Okay. Now, if anything took me out of this movie, you've been have you seen a pilot's dating flight attendants before? I
Absolutely.
mean, if anything, they're going out of their way to tell you. If this was real life, they'd be banging each other right there in front of everybody. I mean, they're not trying to be discreet. It's like, yeah, that's my girlfriend. That's my boyfriend. Especially, there's the old joke, how
Okay.
someone is a pilot, they'll tell you. You know how a pilot and a
Yeah.
flight attendant are
Yeah.
dating each other? They'll tell you.
Everyone knows. Okay.
Yeah, so,
But it didn't, and now let me just jump forward a minute where they find out like they have a child together, right?
yes.
Okay. Have you seen a parent of a young child be that kind of frisky with that significant other? Like that
That's
didn't make sense to me. I'm like, oh, you two have a child together. What are you all kissy for? You should hate each other.
That's a really good point. I didn't think about that. And where's this child? Who's
Yeah,
taking care of this
is he any,
child? They're
like,
both at work.
lovey-dovey? No, he goes over it in that little pre-flight thing where he admits his
Grandma's got the
relationship. He's
child.
like,
That's
yep,
right.
the baby's with grandma, right? But
Yeah,
but
and
they
they
were
were
so romantic, and I'm like, that doesn't sound like I have a 2-year-old romantic. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not that guy.
maybe they were newlyweds. Maybe the kid was like very young. They were still into each other. Maybe it's the thing. We need to all get married again after like 2 years or something to keep it fresh. Maybe. All right. From there, Tobias is going to be the pilot flying, so he gives the pre-flight briefing. And he says they're going to be departing runway 26 left. Did you catch this?
Yes.
He calls the runway 26 left. We've gone over this before. Sometimes there are multiple runways going in the same direction. They're all numbered based on magnetic heading, so we give them a little qualifier: 26 left, 26 right, 26 center if there's more of them. This one is 26 left. This is important because later it drove me absolutely crazy. He also goes over all the takeoff data, all the V speeds, none of this stuff should be, because they're still boarding. They've only just started boarding, and they shouldn't have final numbers unless they're just so much more efficient in Europe. I believe this is called Europe Air, wasn't it? Or European Air?
European area.
Yeah, it's very generic airline name. Very good. So they have all
See,
this
your
data.
standards are so much higher. I was happy to hear them even brief anything. It was
Or that they were both paying attention to the brief.
and they used, like, real V-speed numbers and, like,
They
plausible, I should say, not
They
real, but
100%
plausible.
did. His briefing sounded like our post-engine start, after engine start, and pre-takeoff check or whatever it is. I heard all familiar numbers. So very good. I give them all, credit for that, but I just thought they did it at the wrong time. Now, then there's an issue. 2 people haven't shown up for the flight, and they have luggage on the aircraft. What do we do? This is a security issue now, right? Do we
Well,
leave the
no.
luggage? No, it's not.
Isn't it pretty much standard that their bags don't go without them?
Well, here's the thing. There's a little dilemma. The fueler, I guess he's the fueler. He comes in, he talks about the zero fuel weight and how much fuel they're going to carry. And then he comes back and he's the one that says, we had 2 no-shows and they have luggage on board. So the captain says, take the luggage off. And Tobias says, well, maybe we should wait. No, the captain made his decision. You go with that. Try to change his mind. How dare you? That's not your place. Trying to insinuate yourself in the decision-making process. I'm kidding a little bit. I'm just picking on this
I was gonna
movie.
say, that doesn't sound very CRM
No.
of you.
No,
Jeez.
of course CRM is that you talk about it. Yeah, no, if the passengers don't go, you don't take their suitcases because maybe that's something fishy going on. Anyway, the people do eventually show up, and we look out the flight deck door window, and you see them being escorted on the ground across the rim. Now, was there not a jet bridge to this airplane? Was everybody
Pretty
boarding
common
from
to
air
have
stairs? What's common?
Oh, you mean did they push back already maybe, or was it
No.
originally
No, they hadn't pushed back. So that's why I say, why are these people walking across the ramp? Why aren't they at the gate where we saw people sitting earlier? And maybe there isn't a jet bridge. Maybe it's walk outside the gate, walk upstairs. I don't know. We didn't see that part, so it's possible. All right. They taxi out. Yeah, this one drove me nuts. They taxi out. They get clearance from the tower to hold short of the runway. And at that moment, the flight attendant calls up and
Oh gosh, yes, I know.
she's like,
The food.
I want to get your food order because we got a short flight.
On the taxiway? Like, come on.
Yeah, like at the runway.
And like opens the door. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I got
How
you.
insane was that?
That's the start of upsetting me for the rest of this movie.
And so this is an aircraft that has cameras looking down into the cabin. And so there's a monitor in the flight deck that they can see what's going on in the cabin. They show this camera a couple times during the taxi, and there's some funky behavior. First of all, they have a curtain. All been on airplanes with the, you got the curtain that divides the first class from the main cabin. You got the curtain that divides the galley, so nobody has to. The curtain is closed during taxi out. Now that is
That's a
major,
no-no. Yeah.
major no-no. Because if you have to do an evacuation, if something goes wrong, you have to be able to see and you have to have clear access to everything. So why is the curtain closed? That's number one. Number two, though, the curtain is closed and there's some strange activity.
A foot.
Yeah. Like somebody's kicking at it or trying to peer through it. It was very weird. I just thought, why is the curtain even closed, though? Because that's driving me nuts. All right. It's time to take off. They get clear for takeoff, and Tobias, the first officer, is flying, but Captain Michael puts his hands on the throttles with thrust levers, and he sets the thrust. Again, could be a European thing. Here in America, the pilot flying sets the thrust. He takes his hands on the thrust levers, pushes them forward. Then the captain takes his hand and places them, because it is the captain's decision to abort if necessary. But I just saw this and I said, why is he doing that? That isn't right. But maybe it is right over there, because I don't know. You know.
I let him slide on that.
No, you're letting
I
a
looked
lot
at
go.
it. I noticed it. I know you have such high standards. You want a documentary? This is a Amazon original.
Yeah, and because this one also, see how flustered I can't even speak, because the next thing that happens as they're accelerating down the runway, the captain calls out, "Go."
Yeah, that was but they did the right call outs for the FMAs. That was cool.
They did. I did hear that. I heard
SRS and auto thrust blue. And
it's only been a week. It's only been a week since I've flown. I can't remember the call outs. I hope I remember when I go back. Yeah, they get that.
Boy, yeah, it's supposed to be blue.
Man flex, SRS, runway, auto thrust blue. That was it. They take off.
And he even briefed the flex takeoff as well.
He did. They take off. Landing gear up, positive rate gear up. Okay. But then immediately after that, he calls for flaps 1. In the Airbus.
Yeah.
In the Airbus, you do not retract your flaps until you've reached a certain altitude, because it is that point at which it's what we call acceleration altitude, thrust reduction altitude, and it is not at gear up. It's usually 1,000 feet above field elevation, sometimes higher. And a couple other things have to happen. So it was like flaps 1 and then flaps 2 right after that. It's like, you're not even letting the airplane accelerate to the flap speeds. So come on, guys. Come on.
I don't know how much
Captain Michael.
You're paying a lot of attention here.
I knew, because I knew I hated this movie. Come on, Captain Carlo Kitzlinger, who played Captain. Didn't they? Did I miss that? No.
It was positive something, but it wasn't positive rate. And I was like, that's weird. Do we say something different here? Or we say positive rate, and they said positive climb maybe, or positive. Oh, I don't know. It was positive something.
I don't know. Can you imagine if First Officer Tobias, if after this harrowing experience, and they're like, hey, you let a lot of bad crap go down. You can't fly for European airlines anymore. And so he finds himself back in the U.S. and he somehow manages to get on with an airline. And he's like, you guys do a lot of stuff different than we did over there. I don't know.
Yeah, like not open the flight deck door for a terrorist.
There was that. Yeah, we're not there yet. All right. They go in some clouds, and Tobias orders anti-ice on. So, okay, good call. He pushes the anti-ice button. Now, in the Airbus, as in most airplanes these days, we have what's called the dark cockpit concept. So what that means for the uninitiated, every button or switch has a light that indicates whether it's in the on or the off position. And in the Airbus, lights that are off tend to be, when the light is not on, you're in either the on or the auto, extinguished. Now, it's very confusing to explain. I can't even explain it, and I fly the airplane for so long. So a dark cockpit means everything's working the way you want it to. If you see lights up above you, something's going wrong, or you've selected something that is out of the ordinary. One of the things that has no lights on it is the anti-ice push button, and that is to tell you that the anti-ice is off, and that matches everything else in the system, just so that, you're not looking up. So when you turn the anti-ice on, a light comes on that says on, because that's not the normal position. He calls for anti-ice on. Captain Michael pushes the button. Guess what? No lights. Your mind is blown. Look at you. You're out. Am I nitpicky? No, I'm not.
No. You're 100% correct. I wish it wasn't that bad.
If I didn't know that the guy playing the captain was an actual Airbus captain, I would be a lot more generous with this, I think.
He probably just wanted the gig as an actor, right? So he just goes along with this.
You know what? I've got him pulled up here on my IMDb. I want to see if he's ever acted in anything else. Oh, he has. He was in a movie in 2022 called Uncharted. He played Trinidad Hilo pilot. He was in a movie in 2020 called Vermindert, where he played Gabriel. So he's had a few other roles. He even played a hotel manager once. So not always a pilot, but he doesn't get
an active actor.
He doesn't get a pass on this one, though. All right, so they get up there and turn the seatbelt signs off. The flight attendants are moving around in their cabin there, and we see on the monitor more mysterious movements from the curtain. What's going on? What's going on?
It was a foot, right? Like something kept moving the bottom of the curtain. That's the only thing I could see.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I guess the way it's edited makes it feel like all of this stuff happens in the first 2 minutes of flight. But I'm sure there was some, time that we're going to skip movie time. At some point, the flight attendant's going to bring up their meal. And she rings the bell. They look on the monitor. They see her back there. They open the door. And when she comes in, this is when the bad guys make their move. And they just bust in. There's a big fight in the flight deck. And I thought to myself, how is it that they just opened the door so nonchalantly and there were no security procedures to prevent what happened happening?
Was the curtain open or closed when that door was open?
It was closed.
See, so they didn't know what was behind them.
No, was the curtain the security barrier? Nobody can get past this curtain.
I mean, everybody knows, like, when you're in the airplane, like, if the pilot needs to use the lav or whatever, they always, like, block the front, like, row 1 or whatever, right? With the cart or...
Yes, and one flight attendant stands guard with their back to the cockpit door, facing the cabin. So that didn't happen. So
okay,
the bad guys get in. There's a big fight. At some point during the autopilot is disabled.
Not sure how.
I am sure how, because they actually showed it. You may have missed it. It was very quick. Baldy bad guy is fighting Captain Michael, and Michael's out of his seat, and he kind of pushes him backward, and his butt knocks into the joystick. And when you move joystick,
okay, I missed that.
Side stick, that's what we call it, side stick. And when you move the side stick with the autopilot on, if you move it enough, it will disconnect the autopilot. One of the drawbacks, the best part of the Airbus, I love two things. One is the locking door. The other is the fact that side stick allows me all the leg room I can have because there's no yoke in the middle. And that allows me to cross my legs from time to time. Every now and then, when my legs are crossed, I will sometimes bump that flight stick with my foot.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever knocked it off. I don't think I've ever bumped it all the way, but I'm waiting for that to happen. That is what happened. The fight knocked the autopilot off. At some point, Tobias got stabbed in the arm somehow, but he managed to fight one of the bad guys. He gets him out and he locks the flight deck door again, but Baldy bad guy is still in there. So Tobias grabs his fire extinguisher at his station and knocks Baldy right in the head, knocks him out cold. So, yay, Tobias. Then the plane is going down because the fight just took it into a
Tobias,
nosedive.
Pull up.
Yeah.
Like you didn't know what was happening with the airplane.
You see what's happening. You're sitting in your seat. You can't reach. Is your
arm
was
gone? Unaware of the...
Oh, Michael, you can see the plane going down. You're screaming at Tobias, who was on the floor behind his seat at this point. And Michael, just grab the stick. No. Tobias reaches around the seat. From behind the seat, he reaches around the seat, pulls the plane, and he's like, gentle. Didn't he say that? Easy or very
easy. Like you don't want to spill any drinks in the back from this event.
Yeah. Oh, so they get control of the airplane, autopilot's back on, gentle. Yeah, then because I noticed
Now
that
let's take our time at this point. There wasn't a hijacking or anything. Let's just take our time now that we've leveled the airplane.
this is another thing that drove me. I had to rewind a couple times because the alarms are going off. I can see there's something on the ECAM. There's a warning. The red warning lights and the sirens are going. What's going on? And I realized, oh yeah, it's overspeeding. You're getting an overspeed warning, which makes sense. You would get that. So all right, fix that. Then Tobias is just kind of he's kind of sitting there for a minute, right? I don't know, collecting his thoughts. Looking, Michael, are you okay, Michael? Tobias didn't have an accent, but I do. Michael, are you okay, Michael? Yeah, Michael's okay. I'm fine. You're fine. Why didn't you save the airplane, dumbass?
He was not fine.
No, he was not fine. But they also have this hijacker who is now out cold on the flight deck floor. So Tobias pulls out. Now, the first time I watched this movie, I thought that he pulled out his handy dandy duct tape from his workstation. That is what I thought it was. It looked like to me. But when I watched it the second time, I realized he opened up the first aid kit and pulled out some gauze. And he just kind of hogtied this
Medical
guy.
tape, maybe?
Yeah. Whatever it was, I guess it was strong enough. And he wrapped up the bad guy's hands, and then he dragged him over in front of the jump seat behind the captain's chair, and he strapped him in. Now, accurate, but inadequate, as we saw later. I think he could have done a better job, but we'll get to that.
Well, like if his hands were tied behind his back and the buckle was buckled in front of his chest, theoretically he shouldn't have been able to unbuckle himself.
He didn't need to. We'll get there.
That's
we'll
true.
Get there. So Tobias gets back in his seat, and they're screaming at him on the radio. European, what's going on? European. Well, this is another one. I had to rewind and like, how does ATC even know that anything's happening? I went back as soon as the bad guys got in. Captain Michael is declaring a mayday. So Tobias now has to explain what's going on, and they say, okay, well, where do you want to go? He says, I want to go back to Berlin, and they say, oh, well, Hanover's closer. So he says, okay, we'll go to Hanover. Okay, I don't know where Hanover is in relation to Berlin, but I do know that this next sequence from this moment until they land in Hanover takes forever. Did you notice that?
Yeah, it should have been a 12-minute. The rest of the movie should have been about 8 minutes long at that point.
Yes. It should have been. And you know what I'm doing, right?
It is the same amount as if we are on fire, like with lithium batteries and carbon monoxide and poisonous gas. We are going to the ground now on a piece of pavement now.
Yeah. So I'm looking at my map right now. I have just searched Hanover. I see Berlin. You know, I should be doing this on my Flight Deck Pro because I can put a distance marker in between them. Because I should have done this before, but I didn't expect you to be available this quickly, and I didn't do my homework. So I'm going to do this now, though. I want to see how far away Hanover is from Berlin because...
Well, let me tell you what the manuals in the airplanes, like when there's significant emergencies that are time critical, it will say land nearest suitable.
Yeah.
And that means the closest airport that can facilitate your aircraft without running off the end of the buildings. Now, land nearest suitable. So, piece of pavement that we can put an Airbus on now.
Got it. The distance between Berlin and Hanover is 144 nautical miles.
10 to 12 extra minutes of flight time at cruise speed.
At cruise. So here's the thing. They tell him, okay, you're going to go to Hanover. He agrees. And then he just kind of sits there for a while.
It just chills. Like, what the?
He chills.
That drove me nuts. You're just like chilling.
Like didn't talk to the passengers.
Why was that hijacker still alive at that point? Like, you don't leave him alive. Like, bash that dude's head in. Like, completely.
Yeah, he clearly had time to do that. He had time to come up with multiple ways of killing him. No, I'm just going to sit here for a bit, think about my life. I'm not even going to pull out charts for Hanover.
Worse.
I'm not even going to set up the approach. But
it was so funny what he did, though, right? He's like one-handedly sliding the chart into the holder, like he's preparing for the approach. Like, dude, heading to a runway, ground now. Come on.
Yeah, no. And let's talk about
the arrival out. And he put an arrival chart in there too. Like he was going to follow a published route.
He's going to fly the Star.
Like, dude, standard terminal arrival route. It's a pre-published route getting all the way back to the airport from hundreds of miles away. In an emergency, you're not doing it. Point me at the runway now.
Yeah, no. So at some point during all of this self-reflection, he realizes that his arm is severely injured. He can't even use his left arm. And so he decides he's going to bandage it up. So he takes that gauze, whatever he's got left, and he starts wrapping his arm, and he wraps around over his long sleeve shirt. So he gauzes his sleeve, which, okay, here's an argument in favor of short sleeves, so you don't have to gauze your long sleeve. I've seen this on other TV shows and movies where they actually bandage over the person's clothes. Is this standard medical procedure? You're married to a physician. What would she say?
Don't want to go ask her. I mean, things are not like standard normal at the time. It's a very traumatic event. Maybe that trauma led to him not thinking clearly about his, medical care or how long he needs to. I don't know.
He keeps checking on Michael.
We got to stop making sense at this point, please.
Yeah. Michael, are you okay? Yeah, I'm good. I'm okay. Okay. Michael keeps telling me, and then Michael just dies, up and dies, just dead. Okay. Put yourself in this situation now. You're alone in the flight deck. You've got an unconscious hijacker and a dead pilot in the pilot's seat. Tobias takes the time to remove Captain Michael from his seat. And it is not easy. It's a struggle. It always tells us in our manuals, there is procedures for an incapacitated pilot. And one of the things that very much specifies, it takes 2 people to remove a dead body from a chair.
But this negates that, because you're not going to open the door again after an attempted hijacking. We're not doing that.
But why do we even have to remove him from his seat at all? Can we?
I agree with you.
The other thing it says in our books is strap the person in, make sure that their seat is as far back as possible to remove any potential interaction with the controls. So he should have just done that, but no.
Yeah.
Drags him out of his seat and then just decides to sit there for a little while longer. Yeah.
That's the vomit face again. Here you go. Vomit emoji.
All right. So eventually, air traffic control calls back up and they tell him, you're going to expect runway 27 right at Hanover. That's what they say. 27 right. They say that. 27 right. I'm going to hit it one more time. 27 right. Tobias answers back, 27R. Come on.
Nobody would say that.
Nobody would say that. So
he's been stabbed. There was an attack. I'm going to give him it was so horrible.
I'm not giving it to him.
I'm taking
it away. Now, the bad guys, all this time, they've been pounding on the door trying to get into the flight deck. And he can see them on the monitor. And now they've got a kid. They've grabbed one of the passengers. In fact, you know who they grabbed? They grabbed that guy that was late, the no-show, the one that got walked across the ramp. They grabbed him.
No way.
And they said, we're going to kill this guy if you don't let us in. He's like, I can't do that. I can't open the door. And he doesn't open the door. And they kill him. They just kill the kid right then and there. So he's upset. He starts pounding on his chair or something like that. And then he sits down for a little while longer. And
he should have been in that fucking seat flying it to a runway the entire time. Oops, sorry. Bleep. My gosh. You're getting all the curse words out of me.
He sits there in silence. And nobody's talking to him. Air traffic control, they'll talk to him once every 15 minutes.
They're good.
Yeah, they're good. It's all good. We've already set up 27R, so it's good. He starts to do a self-brief.
27R.
He self-briefs 27R. He's not descending either. They're still at 34,000 feet and not turning. You got to at least turn toward Hanover, right?
No. I understand they have to make a 90-minute movie, but that was excruciating. And then the whole time he took banging on a seat in personal conflict about the dead passenger, that none of that should have happened. Him in a seat flying an airplane to a runway, period.
This whole movie shouldn't have happened.
It was released in 2020 on Amazon, at least. I know you said it was a 2019 movie. When you pull it up on the app, it says 2020. So we were all really bored that year. Remember?
Yes, I do remember. Okay.
So they probably got away with a lot more views because of that.
You think a lot of bad movies got put out that year because we were all locked up and, hey, we've already watched everything, so let's put some more stuff out. That was when the Tiger King was the name. The Tiger King was real popular.
I was going to say that if Tiger King could make it, then so could this movie in 2020. Carol Baskin.
Oh
Carol Baskin was on that plane.
Well, she was not the next one to get killed, but guess who was?
Oh, this is sad.
They pull the flight attendant. They pull his lady, and they say, we're going to kill her next. And he's like, no. you can't. And she's like, I got a son, which we know is his son as well. And they're like, sorry, man, do
Yeah.
what you got to do. Open the door. And here's the thing I don't get. He doesn't open the door for this one. They kill her. He opened the door later. What the hell?
Yeah, that was the highest priority person on that airplane to that guy.
Yeah.
To Tobias.
He let her go.
The mother of his child. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It could have been alive if he'd have put the plane on the runway 20 minutes ago.
Yes. But now he finally gets down to 15,000 feet, where we cruise along for quite a while. To quite a while of absolutely no comms going on. Nobody's talking to anybody. And they keep showing the monitor from looking down at the galley curtain. And the bad guys, they keep closing the curtain. They keep opening it and closing it. What are they trying to do? They need privacy for their terrorism. They don't want the passengers to see what they're doing. I don't understand that part. Then he looks out the window and a fighter jet shows up. And the fighter jet's like, okay, we're going to escort you.
We're going to watch.
Yeah, we're just going to.
You should have already been heading there.
Right. Well, again, guess what happens next? Baldy bad guy who's been asleep in the flight deck. Now he wakes up. And guess what? That jump seat strap did not hold him in place. He just squirmed out underneath it. Why not tighten it so much? Like, maybe he can't even breathe at this point. But no, he left it.
That would have been better. Strangle him with the seatbelt rope. Who cares? The dude stabbed
Can I tell you?
You're done.
Can I? I've always had a little fantasy that if I was ever in a situation, this occurred more when I was working in the back as a flight attendant, but you know those trash carts that they go up and down the aisle collecting garbage with? Well, those carts have a bin inside them, a trash bin. You can pull the bin out. When you pull the bin out, that cart is then hollow. I think there's enough room in there to stuff a body if you can get control of the person and you can lock that door. Nobody's coming out of that thing. So I think that's what they should have done. Anyway.
If your thoughts have wandered that far, maybe you should talk to someone. or produce another movie like this.
Yes. Oh, that would be great.
You'd have to be that crazy.
Cats on Guard Productions. All right, there's more fighting.
Oh my.
There's more fighting in this time.
There's rocking and rolling too, right?
Yeah, he did do that. I forgot. I'm sorry. Let's back up. Before his lady is killed, Tobias does try an aggressive maneuver, which seems to work for a second, although he did preface it by saying, passengers, put your seatbelts on. Like, if I'm the bad guy and I hear that, something's happening. Then he grabs the side stick and he starts yanking it left and right. And we see that it does have an effect. And then this girlfriend starts fighting back. And then this is the part that drove me absolutely crazy. Of all the things in this movie, he stops his aggressive maneuver to watch her fight on the monitor and cheer her on. And guess what? Now the airplane is flying straight and level again. So, of course, the good guy loses that fight.
He could have kept the rocking and rolling going, and then maybe she'd have had a chance, but it's his fault.
His fault.
This was all
everything that happened was Tobias's fault because he was trying to keep it professional at work. That's where it all began.
He's the villain in this movie.
He's
the villain in this movie.
Yep.
Not the terrorists. The terrorists, they're still bad guys, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. All right. So the bad guy wakes up. They fight. And while they're fighting, this is what happened. While they're fighting, finally the passengers start fighting back. So there were, I think, a couple of terrorists in a cabin, and one of them loses. Somehow the cockpit door gets opened again. I guess during the cockpit fight, Baldy bad guy gets the door open, and his little partner comes in, the one that didn't get killed in the back. So now there's two terrorists in the flight deck, and the bald terrorist orders his little friend, who I have called Wimpy up into this point, and he says, kill the first officer. But he doesn't want to. He's afraid because he's a wimp. He's a wimpy terrorist, and they start getting into a little, you got to do what I say. So eventually they hog tie Tobias. They take was it still the medical gauze they tie him up with? And now he's lying on the cockpit floor next to dead Michael behind his seat.
Yep.
And the bad guy, who we learn the bald guy's name is Kieran. He takes over. He gets in the captain's seat, and he's gonna.
Gosh, he's gonna fly.
He's gonna fly. Where's he flying toward? He seems like he's got a destination in mind, like he's got a target or something.
Cancun, maybe? I don't know.
Oh, because now they're heading toward Hanover, and I don't know that he knows this because he was out cold when that decision was made. So he's got something. He's got something up his
But
sleeve.
how does he know where the airplane is, period? Like, have they trained for this? Do they know how to operate the FMS or the freaking nav systems or any of that?
I don't know. That's what I want to know.
You just hop into the seat. You're like, all right, here we go. Let's direct to somewhere. Nope. Drives me nuts.
Right. Well, now I got to go back. When after the first fight happened and Tobias took control of the airplane, he found the weapon that the terrorists had used, which was a piece of glass that was wrapped in tape or something. And he took that and he stashed it. So we know that he's got that in his nest, ready for when he needs it. We see it. He looks at it. He's hogtied. He knows that knife is nearby, but he can't do anything right now. Kieran and the Wimpy guy, they're fighting about what to do. Kieran wants to crash, and Wimpy's like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to die. I didn't sign up for this. What the hell did you think you signed up for?
Right?
Have you never researched a hijacking? Yeah, he's having a moral dilemma here. Well, while this is going on, I think I missed something. I must have left something out. Oh, I know what happened. Yeah, they fought. Wimpy and Kieran fight. Wimpy's got his knife. Kieran's at the controls. He's got Wimpy behind him, and he doesn't see it. And Wimpy's like, I don't want to die. I'm a better person than you, so I'm going to kill you. And I guess he does, because next thing you know, Wimpy jumps into the captain's seat, and he straps in.
Gosh. Yeah, I remember. What was the co-pilot that he was like, you gotta kill him. Like, kill him. Remember that part? He was like laying on the ground, like, you gotta kill him.
And I guess he did.
Oh my gosh.
So then they get cleared to land on, guess what runway? 27 right.
Oh no.
Not R. Right. So Wimpy's sitting in the flight deck, captain's chair.
Oh, this is ridiculous. No, please don't say it.
I have to say it. I have to say it.
Oh,
And Tobias says, the weather is too strong for the autopilot, so we have to turn it off. Do you remember?
Okay.
You remember your Airbus days? You remember training? Remember wind shear training? Remember what it said about wind shear?
It's too strong. Too strong.
It said, if you're in wind shear and the autopilot is already on, leave the autopilot on because it does a better job than the pilot of handling the wind shear.
But what about the fact that yeah, okay, but beyond that, like, why is the terrorist taking part in flying the airplane at all?
Oh, I know why. Because Tobias's arm is dangling. He can't use it. He needs that arm to move the thrust levers because apparently auto thrust, the weather's too strong for auto thrust as well.
I was going to say, like, he didn't need to be involving the other guy in the thrust lever movements.
No. Leave the autopilot on, leave the auto thrust on. In fact, set it up for an auto land and you don't even have to do anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, can't do that. They turn off the autopilot, which he uses the autopilot button on the glare shield. There are a couple of ways to turn off the autopilot. We talked about bumping the stick. There's also we use the glare shield button to turn it on, but to turn it off is the fire button on our side stick. It's the little red button that looks like you're firing phasers. That also turns. That's how we do it. Whatever. He turns it off at the glare shield. Did he use his good hand for that, or did he have to reach across?
That's what I mean. Like, it wasn't good enough for the throttles, but it was good enough to disconnect the autopilot. I just don't get me started.
Turns it off. He turns it off, and then he immediately calls for flaps 3. Did you notice that? Not flaps
from
1.
0?
Yeah, from 0 to 3. And so I looked at this. I had to zoom in a couple times. He didn't zoom. I'm not like the FBI. Zoom in on that and enhance grid 5, 4, 3. No, but they showed the flight display a couple times. So he's got flaps full now at 170 knots. Now,
no, that's
for those
not going to have it.
For those of you flying the Airbus, there are flap speeds above which we do not use flaps. And flaps full 210. Flaps 2 is 185, and flaps 3 is something below it. Flaps full at 170 doesn't happen. You're going to get that overspeed warning again. And they kept showing the controls, and I kept noticing he's still at 170 knots at 1,000 feet. He should be fully configured to land, gear down, at a landing speed, which in an airplane that I believe they said they had something like 80 people on the airplane. So not heavy. The landing speed should be somewhere in the 130s, I think. They're doing 170 knots at 1,000 feet. And then they get the, he's prepping Wimpy. He says, he's teaching him how to pull back the
Yeah.
thrust levers when they land. He's like, don't do it till I tell you. Get ready, get ready, get ready. And they're coming in, they're getting closer. You can see the runway in the distance. And the Airbus has this feature, which is right. They got this right. The Airbus has this feature that calls out certain altitudes as you get close to the ground. It calls out 200, 100. And I looked at it. They showed the flight display. When he called 200, or no, he called 100. They called 100. They zoomed in, and I could see the altimeter, and I could also see the radio altimeter. So he calls out 100, which tells you you're 100 feet above the ground. The radio altimeter is this device that shoots a laser signal down, bounces off the ground, comes back, and tells you how high you are off the ground. So there's two things, and they work together. The radar altimeter displays 1,940 feet. When the radio call out,
Are you serious?
shouts
I didn't notice
100
that
feet.
at all.
Yeah. So completely wrong. And they were descending of the vertical speed of 1,100 feet a minute, which if you're going to descend on a typical glide slope, you're going to be doing. Yeah. You should be doing 700 to 800 feet a minute. He did announce to the passengers it's going to be he did say it's going to be a bad landing. So anyway, they land. He tells Wimpy, pull the throttle to idle. He throws it to idle. He never mentions bringing it to reverse, any reverse thrust whatsoever. I guess that would have been too much for the kid to handle. So you hope there's enough. It's raining, so you got a wet runway. You're coming in 40 knots faster than you should and sinking at an unbelievable rate. So hopefully they stopped on the runway with, plenty of time, but they do stop. Turns the engines off. He turns the engines off. Here's the problem.
That was like good closure to it. Yep.
No, it wasn't over. Because then they sat on the ground. He turns it off. There's no APU power, so they're just sitting in a dark cockpit for a while. But then for like 40 more minutes, they're just sitting there talking. They're talking. The cops show up, and they want to.
Nobody's storming the airplane or nothing. Yeah.
No, but the passengers leave. I don't know how they got off. Did they blow the slide? There was no mention of that, but you do see them.
There was no support staff. All the cops were in the distance, like way away.
Yeah. So I don't know. They just it's time for more sitting and reflecting. But this time Tobias has a friend.
Hostage movie.
Or it's a get to know you moment. He's like, how old are you? Where are you from? Oh, I know that neighborhood. I take my kid to that park all the time. And then Wimpy's mom calls him on the telephone. He's just like, I really screwed up and I would just want to go home. And, you're not going to get to go home because they're calling him on the radio. They want to talk. They ask him to open the window so they could see him, and he obliges. And they want to see Tobias. So I'm thinking, if I'm Tobias and that window's open, I'm diving out that window. Wouldn't you? I mean, you're going to hurt yourself.
I figured at one point he would just launch himself out and be done with it. And I waited for it. And waited for it. It never happened.
Same. But you know what did happen? You know what happened. This is how it ended.
The negotiations.
The negotiations were very quick. They ended with a bullet into Wimpy's chest, and that was it.
There was some poetic justice, though, because there was that part where his mom calls Wimpy, right? Mom calls Wimpy's phone, like, where are you?
Mm-hmm.
And we miss you. Please come home. And he's like, Mom, I just want to be home. Like, obviously, he's in a bad mental state, and his mom still cares about him, doesn't know he's a terrorist yet, right? And
maybe she does. I don't know. She's been watching the news.
Maybe. But then he hangs up, all right? And then the ending was so sad. It was so abrupt and terrible, but the fact that the phone rings again and it's Mom, right?
Well, did she call back after he was shot?
As they were dragging Captain off, and then they dragged baby Mama off, right? And he's watching them get carried off dead, Tobias.
Oh.
In the background, Mom is calling Wimpy back.
I missed that part.
Make sure he's okay.
I missed that part, and here's why.
And it was kind of sad, right? Because,
I missed it because from this point now, the camera is looking from the aircraft aisle into the flight deck, which we can see is dark because Tobias shut everything off, except the overhead panel was all lit up.
Yeah, I noticed
and
that
I was
too.
like, why is that? There should be no lights up there. But that's how it went. And then guess what? The end.
Credits.
The end.
Speaking of the end, I got to pick my kid up from school in 4 minutes, and I have never been happier to sit in that pickup line. I've never been happier to go sit in that pickup line, I tell you right now.
Well, here's the good news.
This is the worst recording we've ever had to do. This is like homework.
I don't know if that's true, but you know what? Now we can purge this thing. You people listening at home who have been eager to watch along, and no, don't do it. We've saved, this is terrible. Worst movie ever. 7,500 thumbs down, 2 thumbs down. Don't do it.
2 thumbs. Hang on, I'm going to try to show you something there. I look
what is
behind
that?
me and I look at my
Yeah.
ceiling. There are darts in my ceiling.
Those are
I love having
darts?
kids, man. Those are
Oh my
darts for the
gosh.
dartboard they're supposed to. Yeah, yeah. Yay, kids.
The dartboard on the ceiling? The dartboard's on the wall. Good aim.
It is, but the darts are in the ceiling.
Well, maybe you can teach them how to be movie makers and they could do something better than this instead of throwing darts at the ceiling.
Oh, let's not record any more of these terrible. All these terrible movies are hard to get through. It's
They're
painful.
fun though. I mean, this one wasn't fun, but like they do snakes on a plane. That'll be fun. Die Hard
Yes, that'll be fun.
2, Airplane.
But we're not
You know what?
picking
Let me
it
do-
apart like it's supposed
No,
to be accurate.
Let me
Soul
let me
Plane?
sum up. Let me sum up Airplane right now. The movie Airplane. It was perfect. Done. All right. We're gonna come back with more Cats on Guard and regular complaining about the airport and the environments. No more 7500s because we are done with that one. My name is MC Howe. Co-Captain Richard Million has to go to school. We'll come back next time.
See ya.